All right, so we will go live as soon as I get some people in here. Can't really go live and just talk to myself, have an open discussion. So, all right, we got some people in already. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, welcome back to WMMA Now. I'm your host, Chuck Stevenson, and welcome to an open WMMA discussion. So I have some topics I want to talk about, but mostly this is going to be viewer-driven, chat-driven. So the more people we get in, the more stuff we'll have to talk about, because that's what I'm hoping for, is to get some more people. I know this is somewhat short notice. I didn't put the stream up until like late afternoon where I'm at in my time zone to make it available, but I did let everybody know via a community post yesterday, so hopefully we'll get some people in. So if you are in the chat, say hello and put up your flag to show me where you're from. Because otherwise, I have no way of knowing. So you got 3 people. Let's not have 3 lurkers. Say hello in the chat. Put up your flag. Show me where you're from. Otherwise, I'm going to get to just start running my mouth about stuff I want to talk about. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have like 7 different topics that I can just start talking on that I, hurried up and put together. So if we want, we can go ahead and do that, because it looks like no one wants to say hi. So don't be shy. This is an open discussion. Need to have some people in the chat to do that. So we got Thanon Mountaval. Says he's from the USA. Thank you, Thanon, for saying hello. Welcome to WMMA. All right, so if anytime you want to talk about something during this open discussion, just say what it is in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to talk. So the UFC just booked this fight between Tabitha Ricci and Maria Oliveira. That's going to go down, I believe, in October 23rd. I believe it's October 23rd, I said earlier. I just did a little short video on this one. But it's a strawweight bout. You may remember Tabitha Ricci. She got demolished by Manon Fiorot like a couple months ago. Took the fight on short notice, moved up a weight class, and got absolutely demolished by Manon. That's Ricci there on the left-hand side, by the way. Now, Oliveira, depending on how long you follow the sport and, how long or how deep you go, excuse me, how hardcore you go. You may remember her. She fought in the Ryzen Super Atomweight Grand Prix back in like 2016, 2017. That was back in 2017. Made it to, I believe, the semifinals. Lost to Kana Asakura in the semifinals. Of course, Asakura ended up going on and winning the Grand Prix, beating Reina. And then Oliveira, like right after that, faced Karina Rodriguez on the Contender Series and tapped out, like waved the fight off in the first round. Like she was getting beat up by Karina Rodriguez. And that's how Rodriguez got into the UFC. So that was back in August of 2018. Here's the thing about both of these fighters. Neither of them actually have any wins that are much worth talking about. Now, Oliveira does have a win over Alyssa Garcia. Garcia was like 3-3 at the time, but that's easily her best win. Alyssa Garcia was, an up-and-comer for a while, and then she took time off to have a kid. But that's Oliveira's best win, whereas like Tabitha Ricci, you look at her record, she's 5-1. Her opponent's combined wins are 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 and 8. So 4 and 10. And that's out of the strawweight. That's not accounting Manon Fiora. So out of her 5 wins, they were like 4 and 10. So neither of these two have really beaten anyone that are worth talking about. But I think this is a good matchup for both. It shows what level each of them are at. Of course, Hichi is coming off the loss to Fiora. Oliveira has won 2 straight. She fought once in 2019, picked up a decision, and then she picked up a first-round finish back in February. Both of those took place down in Brazil. So I want to bring this one up here. I think this should be a good one. Oliveira, very nice striking. Ricci, BJJ champion of some sort or another, like a serious BJJ champion. So classic striker versus grappler bout here. Should be make for a good one. Next up, so Irene Aldana has no opponent right now. She's supposed to fight on November 6th at UFC 268, but Jermaine Darandami dropped out because of an injury. I'm not quite sure what kind of injury it was. Still haven't seen anything yet, reports on it. But anyway, GDR is out. So here's the thing. What does Aldana do? Does she go on and fight anyway? Does she wait for GDR to reschedule the bout? Because who knows how long that could take. Because again, we don't know what type of injury GDR has or what the recovery time is going to be. Because if she's so hurt she can't train for November 6th, then you got to assume that she's going to be out for a while. So does Aldana sit out and wait, or does she fight? And if she fights, who does she fight? I've been racking my brain over this one because you look at pretty much everyone in the top 10, they either have a fight coming up or they just lost or they're, well, let's see. I think out of the entire top 10, let's see. So Jermaine's injured. Holm has a fight booked at featherweight. Ladd has a fight booked against Macy Chasson, so 3 versus 10. Then you have Aldana at 4. Pena has a bout booked against the champ. Kunitskaya just lost to Aldana. And then Ketlin Vieira and Misha Tate have a fight against each other. I think McMahon is injured. Again, Chasson has the fight with Ladd. Lena Landsberg, I think she's still out on maternity leave. So that's a big question. You know, if Aldana doesn't fight GDR, doesn't want to wait for GDR, who does she fight? Because that's a big risk right there. Anybody she fights right now is either going to be outside the top 10, 11, which means it's a super risky bout because it's high risk, low reward, other than to get in there, get a fight, stay active, and get paid. So it's high risk, low reward. And which of these fighters are going to be ready in time, if not for November, then sometime soon after that? Because I think most of these bouts are booked in the, sometime between now and December. It's a big question. I mean, I'm not sure what she should do. We got 3 people in chat. If you haven't yet, please hit that like button. But let me know your thoughts. Like, should Aldana wait for GDR, or should she try to find a fight? And if the option is try to find a fight, who should she try to fight? Don't just be a lurker now. Don't be shy. Come on, let me know. Let me see if I can find a schedule here. So let me see who's fighting when. Trying to find. That's a flyweight. Okay, so Vieta and Tate, 7 and 8 are fighting each other. They're the main event October 16th. So doubt either of them are going to be able to recover in time for November 6th. Then you have. Why are these so spaced out? Evas, no, that's straw weight. Donna. Sky. No, that's a straw weight. That's feather. Most of these fights are like way late in the year. So yeah, I don't know who. I just don't know who Aldana can fight if she wants to, stay busy. Unless she takes a fight outside the top 10, which is. It's just, like I said, it's high risk, low reward. Almost no reward other than a payday. So let's move along because otherwise it looks like this is going to be short. So Montana De La Rosa and Macy Barber are fighting, and this goes down at a fight night on December 11th. Or no, I'm sorry. This is at UFC 269, December 11th. That's on the same card as, excuse me, Charles Oliveira versus Dustin Poirier and Nunes versus Pena. So this is going down in flyweight. And I'm not sure who's going to win this one because, I look these two up, and it's like, man, who do you actually trust to get it done here? Because, De La Rosa, she sometimes struggles against the more athletic fighters, and then which is exactly what Barber is. But Barber struggles against a lot of fighters that are more technically proficient than she is. And that's the type of fighter that De La Rosa is. So I don't know who to pick in this one. This is one, I'm going to have to actually seriously study some tape, some video on this one, because I don't know who to pick. I mean, both are coming off of wins. Barber just beat Miranda Maverick by split decision. I didn't think she was going to beat Maverick. De La Rosa just beat Ariana Lipsky via TKO 2 months ago. And of course, Barber was coming off 2 straight losses to Mata Ferry and Grasso. De La Rosa was coming off a draw against Maida Bueno Silva. Not a bad result there. But before that, she had that loss to Viviane Araújo. And Araújo just kind of wrecked her. And that's what I mean by De La Rosa kind of struggles against those really athletically proficient fighters, whereas Barber, she tends to struggle against the technically proficient fighters. But they also have to have some good athleticism as well, which De La Rosa does have some. So I kind of lean towards De La Rosa. But I don't know. I mean, a lot of people thought Barber didn't beat Maverick. But either way, she did win, which I'd have to really watch that fight again to really gauge what went on there. But it just seems it surprised me that she beat her. So anyway, moving on, since everyone's being shy tonight. So next up. One championship, 125-pound, or as they like to call it, strawweight champion, Seong Jin-nan. Who are they going to match her against? Because, right now, she said she wants to keep going down the rankings. Now, if you look at the rankings here, she just beat Tiffany Teo. Let me enlarge this real quick here. So, she just beat Tiffany Teo, or no, excuse me. She just beat Michelle Nicolini, who is at number 2. She has 2 wins over Tiffany Teo, and including her win, the the second win was her last fight before fighting Nicolini, and she didn't get the finish in that fight like she finished Teo in the first fight, but she absolutely wrecked her for 5 straight rounds. I mean, just wrecked Teo for 5 straight rounds. Tiffany Teo, she has no chance of seeing that belt unless Sion retires all of a sudden. So I see we're getting some more people in. This is an open discussion. If you have anything you want to talk about, please just bring it up in the chat. Very few limits. It has to be women's MMA related. Also, put up where you're from in the chat. Put up a flag emoji or just say where you're from, your country, your city, your state, whichever you prefer. But at any time, feel free to interrupt with something in the chat, and that will be the next topic. So this is a free-for-all open discussion. Anyway, so Sion said she wants to keep moving down the rankings. Now, Angela Lee is there at number 3. She doesn't belong in the rankings at all. She has 0 wins in this division. Now, she has a win over Sion, yes, at 115 pounds in Angela's division where she's champ. But she has no wins in the one strawweight division, 125 pounds, because she lost to Sion, and then she stuck around, tried to beat Nicolini, and she lost to Nicolini. So I don't know why Angela Lee's there at all, other than this division is like paper thin. The next, I think it's kind of obvious. She's going to fight Ayaka Miura. She even said Ayaka Miura is next in the rankings. Zombie Girl. I got to be honest, though. It's not a very intriguing matchup because Miura, I like watching Miura. She's a specialist. She does a lot of the same things that Itsuki Hirata does. She looks to close to get the clinch, goes for the judo toss or a trip to scarf hold, and then goes for scarf hold submissions. So, but here's the thing. She has a hard time closing the distance against good strikers because she had a hard time against Viviane Araujo. Araujo, I think, broke her eye socket, if I remember right. Either broke her eye socket or closed her eye really good. And then when she fought Tiffany Teo beat her up on the feet and showed really good takedown defense. So, and that was only last year in February when she took on Tiffany Teo. She lost to Ayaka, lost to Araujo back in 2017. Says referee stoppage. I think it was her eye was swollen shut. And then Teo defeated her, finished her in the 3rd round. So, I mean, Miura is the next one in line by the rankings. Jenilyn Olsen, she doesn't even have enough fights yet. I mean, I think she only has like 4 fights right now. She's 5-2, so she has 7 fights. But I mean, her last fight was at 115 pounds when she beat B. Nguyen. So Olsen isn't even in the division right now actively. So I do have an idea, and one championship is going to have to look to try to sign an outside fighters. And I have one fighter particularly in mind that I think would make for a very intriguing fight, a very fun striker's delight. Invicta flyweight champ Karina Rodriguez. Now, Rodriguez just won the title back in, I want to say, May, when she defeated, I didn't have all my notes ready, and I apologize for that. So Rodriguez just defeated Diana Torquato for the title via unanimous decision on May 21st at Invicta on Access TV. Now, how do I frame this? Would One Championship be willing to sign an outside fighter to come straight in and fight for the title? Well, we already know that much. Is a Mexican audience something that they would want to get into? That's a mystery, because I don't think there are currently any Mexican fighters signed to One Championship. But if One Championship wanted to try to move into that market a little bit, Karina Rodriguez has the perfect fighting style. Crisp box striking, particularly the boxing. She fights out of the Lobo gym with like Alexa Grasso, Irene Aldana. And we all know what Sion brings in too. She brings in some very good boxing as well. More of a looping style of punching, but very accurate, very hard hitting. I think this would make for a great fight in One Championship. But again, the question is, would One Championship want to sign her? And would Invicta be willing to let her go, seeing as she just won the title? Now, in the past, Invicta FC president Shannon Knapp, she's willing to let fighters go to further their careers. She's never really stopped any fighter in the past. But that was before the buyout. Now that, Anthem Entertainment, the owners of Access TV, own them, Shannon might not be able to might not be able to, or might not be willing to let fighters, particularly their champions, go so easily. So that's an even bigger question. Would Invicta be willing to let Rodriguez go after she just won the title? But I think that this fight, this one right here, is like the fight for One Championship to make. I mean, and if it's not the fight to make for Sion next, then it's definitely one that they should be looking into. So I'm actually going to start trying to campaign for this one. So what do you guys in the chat think? Because you're all being quiet tonight. I don't know. Maybe everyone's driving and can't type. Maybe everyone just wants to lurk. But this is meant to be an open discussion. Like, I only brought topics up in order to, keep things moving along. So nobody has any thoughts, I guess. All right, so moving along. This is my next to last subject. So this is going to be a short, open discussion, I guess. Kelly Huff, welcome to the chat. Kelly Huff says it would be a fun and interesting bout for sure. I think it'd be a great one. I think that Sion versus Rodriguez, that is going to be a striker's delight. Kelly, you've been in here before, haven't you? You look, the name sounds familiar. But yeah, I think this would be a fun fight. I don't see this fight going to the ground at all. I think this could be 5 straight rounds of just nonstop striking, particularly boxing. Like, this would almost be like a boxing bout in MMA gloves and in a cage. So I think this would be a very fun bout. Speaking of fighters who primarily box, this is another fun concept fight that I just thought of like earlier today. I thought of it, earlier than today. But when I was trying to come up with, topics to keep things moving, this was one that came back to me. Lux Fight League champion Tani Torres, that's Tani, T-A-N-I, or Tanya, taking on the recent Combate Global one-night strawweight tournament champ, Yasmin Awagi. This one has fun and blood and bruising and just absolute war written all over it. If you haven't seen Tani Torres versus, who did she fight? Sarai Orozco on Lux Fight League. You got to watch this fight. I don't know if it's up on YouTube or anywhere yet, You might be able to find it somewhere. If not, then it is definitely on UFC Fight Pass. Just look up Lux Fight League number, I think it was 15. Yeah, Lux Fight League 15. So LUX Fight League 15. It was the main event. They might have even separated these bouts by now. You got to go and watch that bout. Tani Torres versus Soraya Orozco for the inaugural Lux Strawweight Championship. That was like, it is a strong, very strong ladies fight of the year contender. Very strong. Like it's going to be tough to beat that one. But and then on the other side, you got Combate representative Yasmin Aouragui, who just absolutely tore through that Combate one night tournament, the strawweight tournament. And I mean, you got Torres coming in at 5-0, and then you have Aouragui coming in excuse me, at 8-0. So you got two unbeaten fighters, two unbeaten strawweights who love to duke it out on the feet. And, you know, both have finishing power because Tani Torres knocked out her opponent prior to Orozco. And then Aouragui, she finished 2 straight opponents out of 3 in that tournament to win it. I mean, she finished 2 opponents in one night. Both of them by TKO. Of course, both of them in the first round because of the one-night tournament rules. This would be fireworks. Now, I don't know if Lux would let Aouragui go to, Lux would let Torres go to Combate. I don't know if Combate would let Aouragui go to Lux. Probably not. It's hard to say. But if there was a way for this bout to get made, absolute war in Mexico. I mean, the battle between these two would make some cartel wars look tame. That's all I can say. Because these two love to go in there and scrap. So I think this would be a good fight. Kelly asks, where is Combate on now? Is it still on Access? So they are on Univision. You can download the Univision app, and unfortunately, you can only watch it live on Univision. If you have cable and your cable company offers Univision, then you can automatically watch it. Just sign in with your cable company, or you have to go to Paramount Plus, either ParamountPlus.com or download the app. And unfortunately, that is a subscription. But on the bright side, it lets you go back and watch the events afterwards. Whereas on Univision, once they air, they're done. But with Paramount Plus, you can watch the events on replay. So, yeah, you either watch it with the live in Spanish on Univision, or, yeah, on Univision it's Spanish only. But if it's on Paramount Plus, then they do have English commentary. I forget the guy's name, is like Max something, and UFC fighter Juliana Pena. I rather just listen to the Spanish, honestly. Pena is not a very good commentator. She's just not. But yeah, this bout, this would be war. This would be so exciting to watch this one. So then for my final topic, I wanted to, get people's opinions on teenagers in MMA. Teenagers, especially minors fighting in mixed martial arts, because there are a number of them right now, particularly in Asia. I don't think you can fight as a pro as a minor in the U.S. and North America, but over in Asia, they don't operate under, athletic commissions, so they get away with a lot. So there are a number of teenage, underage, minor age fighters that are fighting, and some of them are doing fairly well. So I wanted to get the chat's opinion on them. Like, for example, Shin Yu-jin here. She just defeated this Lee Eun-jung at Road FC 59. She moved to 4-0. So this girl is only 17 years old, and she is already 4-0 as a pro. Now, is she fighting like the best opponents available? Not really, because she's like stuck fighting in Korea because of all the COVID and stuff. And she only started fighting, I think, last year. So let me look up Shin. So she made her pro debut, December of 2019. Then she fought twice last year, and then she just fought last weekend. So she's already 4-0. Her best win would be this Lee Eun-jung Lee girl. She debuted against another debutante. Her second fight was against Jisoo Park, who was 1-0. Then she fought a debutante to move to 3-0, and then she just beat Lee, who was 1-2. So she's not like getting the best opponents, but she's getting fighters, around her skill level and around her experience level. Another example is Ero Takebayashi over here on the left. Now, she is, I believe, 2-0 with 1 no contest. Let me see. Yeah, she is 2-0 with 1 no contest, and she just turned 18 in June. So, but she is around, like super atomweight size, so around 108 pounds. And she's 2-0 with 1 no contest. She made her pro debut on Rise New Year's Eve show. Technically got choked out, submitted in the first round, but her opponent missed weight, so it was declared a no contest. And then she beat Ottawa Nagao back in June. A far more experienced opponent. Nagao was 4-3 at the time, so got a nice win there. And then she just beat Tomoko Inoue last weekend, who was 0-1 at the time. So her record's a bit mixed so far, but she's 2-0 in 3 fights. And then she just got a fight booked for next month. She's about to fight again on October 17th against this Koga girl, or Kaga. So we'll have to see. This girl, I think, is like 1-0 as well. But again, she's fighting opponents around her level, her experience level, her skill level. But she's doing pretty well so far. And she's only 18 years old, still in school, I think, or just graduated. But she's another example. Just wave. I did not see the Contender Series fight yet. I'm going to go watch it after the stream is done, though. But it looks like, where did I see? Let me pull it up here. Jasmine Jasudavicius defeated Julia Palastri via unanimous decision. Jasudavicius climbed to 6-1. Palastri fell to 8-3. So I'll have to go see that. Kelly Huff said, like Mir's daughter. Yeah. What's her name? Bella Mir. She's like 2-0. I don't know what's going on with her, though, because she didn't fight at all this year. I mean, she fought twice last year when she was 17, and then didn't fight at all this year after she turned 18. And she could have even fought in the U.S. if she wanted to. So I don't know what's going on with her. Maybe she just wanted to, make sure she graduated high school. I don't know. And it says also like Angela Lee's little sis too. Yeah. And isn't she 16? So she's 17, I think, now. Victoria Lee. Victoria Lee's a good example. I forgot to bring up a picture of her. She's fighting next weekend. And Victoria Lee, one is doing something a little bit different than her. Like, they're really trying to push her as, well, they nicknamed her the Prodigy. And they're really trying to make her look like one too, because you look at her opponent's records. Her first opponent as her pro debut, she fought Sunisa Sreesan, who was 4-1. And then her next opponent back in July was Lupin Wan, and Wan was 3-2. And then her next opponent next weekend is 5-0. So as she keeps going, they're giving her more, like her opponents, their records are looking better and better, which they had to. They put her in against Sunisa Sreesan, who was 4-1 at the time. You have to keep giving her better. Otherwise, it looks like a step back. Here's the thing about Victoria Lee's record, though. They're paper tigers. Sunisa Sreesan was 4-1, but you look at like who her wins were against. Sreesan's first 3 wins were all debutantes. Then she lost to Stamp Fairtex. Then she beat Rika Ishige. And Ishige was like on a 2-fight win streak and had lost 3 of her last 4. So Ishige has not been good for a while. And then she lost to Lee. Then you look at Lee's second opponent, Lupin Wan. She came in at 3-2. But she lost her first 2 fights. Her next opponent was 0-1. She had a big win against Miao Ding, or Ding Miao. Ding Miao was 13-5. But Ding Miao, almost none of her opponents have any wins that she's beaten. So she is like the can crusher to end all can crushers. And she is someone that you give a fighter to give a win that looks good on paper. And then right after that, Lupin Wan fought a girl who was, again, making her pro debut, according to Topology. So she hadn't actually beaten anybody good either. And then you look at Victoria Lee's next opponent, Victoria Souza. She's 5-0, but none of her opponents had any wins either. And most of them are 4 out of 5 are first-round finishes. We have no idea if this Victoria Souza is actually any good or not. So it's hard to say. But Kelly says Bellamere may be fighting in PFL next season. I do remember hearing that. I think I remember hearing that. It'll be interesting. I mean, she's 2-0, so it's not like she'll be like real far behind other girls in the tournament. But man, I know she's supposed to fight at bantamweight and she missed. Or she's supposed to fight at featherweight and I missed. I can't remember. But lightweight, that's gonna be. I think lightweight's gonna be too much for her. I mean, if they're gonna pay her well, then good. Go get that money. But at the same time, I can't help but think that lightweight's gonna be just too big for her. And then the last fighter I wanted to talk about here on the underage fighters is Karen. Formerly went by Karen Date. She is, I believe, 3-0 now as a pro. She just turned 18. She just had a birthday on September 1st. So she is 18 years old. And she is just coming off the first big win of her career. Her first 2 opponents, she fought fellow debutantes. She defeated Diana at Pancrase 311 in December of 2019. And then last year in October, she beat Fumina Aoki, who was making her pro debut. And then just in June, she defeated Ayumi Saito. Now, Saito was 8-7 at the time and was on, I think, a 5-fight win streak. 4-fight win streak. Or, excuse me, 4-fight losing streak. But Saito was very experienced. Much older. She's 33. So that's what, 13, 15-year age difference. And brought a lot of experience. So, and Karen got a finish in the 3rd round. Beat her via ground and pound. Now, next up, she's fighting this Shintani girl who's only 1-0. So a slight step back for Karen. But it's around, the same level. Shintani just actually beat someone that I think she was meant to lose to. Yeah, Shintani beat Erika Suzuki, who was 5-2-1 at the time. But she is moving up in weight because her last fight was, I believe, at atom weight, and this is going to be at straw weight. So Shintani is moving up in weight. But I like what I've seen from Karen so far. You know, she used to be part of that team date where they were like idols / fighters, and you know they came out in these elaborate outfits and they had this weird fighting style. Whereas Karen seems like really grounded as far as her MMA training goes and her striking goes. She sticks to what works. So I'm really interested to see what she does more. Kelly says, yeah, PFL might be a big step up. It might be, depending on how they match her up. If they match her up right, then she can potentially do really well. If they don't, then it could be costly. I mean, she's only 18 years old, 18, 19. I guess she'll be 19 when she debuts there. But if they build her up right, then she can do well. And if not, then it'd almost be a waste of time, because if you're just going in there to lose against bigger girls, then there's almost no point, because it's not going to do your career any favors. And she showed some promise so far. So those were the topics that I had prepared for tonight, but looks like we still got, 7 people in chat. What does anybody else want to talk about? Anything? Does anyone else have any questions, comments, gripes, concerns, anything they want to bitch about? Keep it WMMA related. Keep it clean, keep it respectful, but anything you guys want to talk about in the chat, please let me know and I'll give you a minute. Also, please remember to hit the like button. It helps get the algorithm going, helps draw more people in, lets them know that I'm live. Shows up better on search, and also just when you're browsing, and it shows up better. Well, all right. If nobody has anything that they wanted to talk about, then I'm going to call it an early night. I'll go get a shower, shave. Well, I just shaved a little bit ago, but I'll go get a shower. And I got raw hobbies and lifestyle. Not as hot topic as one women's bouts. No, you know what? I should have put a picture up of. I should have. You know what? I should have just made the cover Denise versus Ham. Probably would have gotten a lot more people in. I should have done that right away. But you know what? That's actually a good idea. Should have done that. Should have clickbaited some people. I don't like doing clickbait, but it works. It actually does work. And I'll admit, my cover photo for this was not very, thought-provoking. It was just very straightforward. Perez said what I missed. So, well, let me go back over. Let me start from the beginning. So first, I talked about the UFC just announced this earlier, and I did a YouTube short video on it. Tabitha Ricci, or Hichi, taking on Maria Oliveira, and that's on October 26th, I believe. And then I talked about Irene Aldana, Jermaine Derandami is out of their bout, so got to figure out, what does Aldana, try to find a fight. Who does she fight if she does? And I went over the top 10, and everyone's busy. And I asked, if she doesn't try to find a fight, does she wait for Derandami? Because she might be waiting for a while. Because if Derandami already dropped out in September, and the fight's not till early November, that could be like a potentially serious injury. Then I brought up Montana De La Rosa versus Macy Barber. This one is just really hard for me to figure out, just because it's a really intriguing matchup. I mean, it's not like a huge matchup, like it's going to bring in so many eyes on the fight, but it's just intriguing because each of them tends to not do so well against fighters of the type that they're going to be facing in this one. Like um, Montana struggles against, naturally athletic fighters or dynamic fighters, whereas Barber tends to struggle against technically proficient fighters like Montana. Then I talked about, who does one championship fighter Sion fight next. I think the obvious choice is going to be Ayaka Miura. She's currently number 4 in her rankings. She's the next one down. But I also brought up, I think, a really intriguing one would be if one championship could sign Invicta flyweight champion. 120. They're both 125-pound fighters. The Invicta champ, Karina Rodriguez. I think that would be a striker's delight. It would basically be a boxing fight in MMA gloves in an MMA cage. I think that fight would, excuse me, a lot of fun. Then I brought up, this is a fantasy fight I'd like to see. Lux strawweight champ, Tony Torres, and the winner of the recent Kabate strawweight one-night tournament, Yasmin Aouragi. This would be another one. This would be an absolute all-out war between these two. If this fight went the distance, I'd be amazed. And man, I think both fighters would just be bruised, bloody, beaten. Both are very fun to watch. Torres is a very nice, crisp counter striker, whereas Aouragi is like a tornado almost, or a twister of violence coming forward. And then I started to talk about teenage fighters, and I was trying to get people's opinions on, like really young fighters. Like Shinyu Jin here is only 17, but she just won her 4th pro fight. Erita Kobayashi just turned 18. She is about to have her 4th pro fight in a year. She turned pro last New Year's Eve. That was a no contest because her opponent missed weight, although she did get submitted like early in the first. Then she went 2-0 so far. She just fought last weekend, and then they just announced like over the weekend that she's going to be fighting again on October 17th. So she's having a very busy first year. We also talked about Bella Mir and Victoria Lee. And then I also brought up Karen, formerly Karen Date. She just turned 18 on September 1st, and she is about to have her 4th pro fight on October 17th. Oh, man. Deep and Pancrase are on the 17th. That's going to be good. I'm going to be shelling out some money for that one. Yeah, there's a lot of there's a good contingent of underage fighters mostly in Asia that are doing pretty well. And that was, the extent of the topics that I discussed. Let's see. Kelly asks, what's the biggest WMMA bout upcoming? So let me check my calendar here. UFC 266. What's on UFC 266? That's in 2 weeks. Volkanovski versus Ortega has Shevchenko versus Murphy in 2 weeks on September 25th. So you got the flyweight championship there. I mean, is that really huge, though? I mean, yeah, Valentina Shevchenko is hugely popular, but is anyone really excited to see her beat Lauren Murphy? I mean, if you like one-sided fights, then sure. I'm having a hard time getting excited for that. Like, I'm really happy for Lauren Murphy. I'm glad she's getting her shot. She earned it. She's on a 5-fight win streak. I mean, so she definitely earned that title shot. It's just, I just don't give her much of a chance against Shevchenko. After that, Zhan versus Rose 2. That goes down in November. That's a big one. Oh, this weekend we have Ryzen. Ryzen 30 goes down the 19th. So that's on like Sunday morning. Has a super atomweight bout, but it is non-title bout, but it does feature the champion. We have Ayaka Hamasaki taking on Emmy Fujino in a non-title bout. Now, this is actually a rematch from like 10 years ago. But Hamasaki coming in at 22-3. Fujino coming in at 25-11. Both are well-traveled fighters. Both are coming in on 3-fight winning streaks since their last loss. Around the same age, 40 for Fujino. Hamasaki is 39. Around the same size, 5'3" for Fujino, 5'1" for Hamasaki. Now, Fujino is the current Pancrase strawweight champion, whereas Fujino is the current Ryzen super atomweight champion. Here's the thing, though. Fujino, a lot more fights than Hamasaki and a lot of miles. I mean, I'm talking a lot of miles on her body. And she also, like I said, they fought 10 years ago. And like Hamasaki has gotten, she was a good fighter back then, but she's gotten so much better since then. Whereas Fujino was an all right fighter at the time, she's never really progressed as a fighter. She's always been like an all right fighter. I mean, Fujino is like a good gatekeeper almost. Like, you know that if you beat Emmy Fujino, you're destined for good things or bigger things. Because, I mean, let's take a look at her record here. Look at some of the fighters she's lost to. I really hate typology sometimes. Like, her last loss was in 2018 to Viviane Araújo. Araújo won that bout, and then I think she went on to the UFC right afterwards. Before that, you have to go back to 2016. She lost to Weili Zhang. We all know who Weili Zhang is. Before that, she lost to Mizuki Inoue. Mizuki in the UFC. She lost in 2014 to Jessica Aguilar. That was still a good. Jessica Aguilar was still like a good fighter at the time. Lost to Mizuki again before that. And then before that was the loss to Ayaka Hamasaki and Jules in 2012. So it's been, I guess it'll be 9 years since they fought. So it's not like Fujino's a bad fighter or terrible or anything, but she's just not on Hamasaki's level. Plus, she's been fighting at strawweight her entire career, and she's trying to get down to super atomweight for this one. I hope she makes the weight okay. So that's like the biggest non-UFC bout upcoming right now. Then it says, I have a problem with Victoria Lee being on the main card when other fighters deserve it. That is a very good point to bring up. She is not the most deserving fighter as far as accomplishments. However, you got to remember, it's one championship. One championship and the Lees are like this. They're inseparable. She's going to get promoted. And she already has like a lot of fans too. It's crazy how many fans she has. I mean, like Kelly Huff says right after you, right below you, the Lees are popular. That's why she's getting it. And that's why she's being pushed so hard. Here's what I have a problem with. She made her pro debut earlier this year, and she's about to have her third fight this year when one championship has other fighters, both men and women, that haven't fought since last year, like early last year. They've had fighters sitting, not fighting. And here you have a girl, she's getting 3 fights in 1 year based on her name and popularity. Raw Hobbies and Lifestyle says, no, they want to make Angela versus Sion again at strawweight. They probably will at some point. Angela's got, at least one contender up next, whoever wins the Grand Prix tournament. Then she probably takes on Denise after that. So she's got, at least 2 fights lined up. Kelly said for sure about something. Perez says, I thought Barber maybe lost her last fight. Yeah, I mentioned that. A lot of people thought she lost to Maverick. It's a contentious decision. But Maverick should never have let it get that close. Kelly agrees. Probably another easy fight. I'm guessing that was about Victoria. Or maybe about Shevchenko versus Murphy. Perez says, any news on what happened to Super Melly Martinez from Combate Global? No clue. I have no clue what's going on with her. She has not fought since she won the inaugural title in a contentious split decision against Desiree Yanez, and that was in, I believe, December of 2019, maybe October. Let me see. So she has not fought since, December of 2019. She was supposed to rematch Yanez in March of 2020, and of course, that's when everything in the U.S. and North America shut down because of COVID. So no idea what's going on with Super Melly. Hopefully something soon. Probably she's going to end up fighting Yasmin Awargi, who just won that tournament. That'll be a good one. That'll be a good fight. Martinez versus Awargi will be very good. Yes, that's it, Rose. Kelly asks, Aaron Blanchford UFC debut is soon, right? But I don't remember when. I'm excited for that. Then I see now it's this weekend. Yes, Aaron Blanchfield finally debuting in the UFC. She was supposed to debut like months ago, and the fight got canceled or put off or something. And she's finally going to make her pro debut. Very excited to see Aaron Blanchfield, cold-blooded Blanchfield, make her debut. I made a video about her last year, speculating about her being like the future of flyweight. And I still think she can be. I think she has showed a lot of promise. She came in as a jiu-jitsu fighter and totally leveled up, both her striking, her overall wrestling game, her grappling, and has just done really well. Like, her only loss was a contentious split decision to Tracy Cortez in February 2019 in Invicta. She's 3-0 since then. The Brogan Sanchez fight was a good win, but the fight where she really showed how much her striking has done good was when she knocked out Victoria Leonardo in the second round of their fight. A lot of people made a big deal when Manon Fiat beat Victoria Leonardo. Blanchfield did it first. Blanchfield was the first one to really, just knock her out. And she got that started against Victoria Leonardo. And unfortunately, Blanchfield, she had that one fight against Brogan since then. And she's had multiple canceled fights. She's supposed to fight Stephanie Geltmacher in July of last year. Supposed to fight Pearl Gonzalez last November. Gonzalez tested positive for the COOF. She's supposed to fight Norma Dumont in bantamweight. Took that fight, I believe, on short notice in April of this year. And Dumont missed weight. So she's had some bad luck. And then now she's going to fight Sarah Alpar at flyweight. Alpar's flyweight debut this coming weekend. I'm very excited about Blanchfield's debut. Like I said, I made a video about her last year, hyping her up, talking about her possibly being the future of the flyweight division. Definitely go check that one out later on. Raw Hobbies and Lifestyle. I think their plan is one day Angela retire undefeated in atomweight. then Victoria Lee take over the throne. That would be their best happy ending story. Yeah, but I don't think Victoria is going to stay at that weight for very long. Victoria is already taller than Angela, and she's probably going to fill out too. Let me see if they have her height up yet on Tapology. If not, I'll have to go to One Championship. No stats yet for her. So we'll go to onefc.com. Victoria Lee. Open up a new tab. So Victoria Lee is 166 centimeters, whereas Angela is 164 centimeters, so 2 centimeters, but that's about an inch taller. And, you know, Victoria's young. She's going to keep growing, probably. I think she'll end up filling out and end up being, like, too big for this division. Because Angela's already big for the one atomweight division. She already cuts a ton of weight. Victoria probably does as well. She's mostly been fighting smaller fighters. I wouldn't be surprised if Victoria outgrows the division really quick as well. So we'll have to see. Yeah, like Kelly says, she is taller. So we'll have to see, but I wouldn't be surprised if she ends up too big. I mean, I think that is the plan for Victoria to end up taking over, but she might end up not being able to do it. Like, she's going to have to start cutting some big weight pretty soon if she continues to fill out. I mean, she might not fill out like Angela, but we'll have to see. I mean, we know one will just pull the strings and say, oh, she was fully dehydrated and passed the hydration test and everything, because we know what one does, but it'll be interesting to see. I just don't think that, you know, she'll end up replacing Angela in the atomweight division like their plan probably is. Like Kelly said, she is taller. But yes, Victoria fights this weekend. Or no, I'm sorry, next weekend, next Friday at 1 Revolution. She is on the main card. She's the main card opener against this Victoria Souza girl. Of course, Souza is undefeated at 5-0. Lee is undefeated at 2-0. But like I said, you look at Souza's opponents. Debut. Her opponents have not progressed. Like, she has not progressed as a fighter as far as her record goes. Like, this is like, even in boxing, you start progressing by your 5th fight and start facing somebody who has actually had fights. So that's like a padded record right there. And you look, they've all happened within the last year and a half. So it's not like she's taken a lot of time between fights to really grow and keep learning new things and, you know, progress as a fighter. So we'll have to see. But I think this is just another, and she's smaller too. 152 centimeters to what did we say Victoria is? $166. So 14 centimeter difference, which is, I don't even know how much. Let me see. Hey Siri, convert 14 centimeters to inches.
5.51 inches.
So, yeah, she's almost half a foot taller than her opponent. This is a size mismatch already. So I think Lee will end up winning that one pretty easily. But because Victoria Souza's record looks good on paper, they're going to continue to push Lee like, oh, she's beaten these opponents. They're all stronger than her. They all have more experience than her. But like I said, they're paper taggers. Anybody else have anything? Because we've gone about an hour. It's past 11 p.m. here. I still got stuff I want to do before the night ends. So if anyone else has anything, do before the night ends. All right, looks like that is it for tonight. Took a while to get going, but we started getting some good discussion going towards the end there. So thank you to everyone who showed up live. If you're watching this on the playback, let me know your thoughts in the comments, because I respond to almost every comment left, even if I shouldn't. Like, there are sometimes I should definitely ignore comments, and I end up not doing it, much to my chagrin. But anyway, don't forget to hit that like button on your way out. Comment if you're watching on the replay, and subscribe as well. I say this at the end of like every recorded video. WMMA now, the most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. And I'm not bullshitting when I say that. Like, this is by far the most complete channel that is dedicated entirely to WMMA. I bring a bigger variety of content than any other WMMA channel. Fight previews, fight reviews, news, live discussion, fight companions. I do it all. I cover the widest array of WMMA fights. I cover from all over the world. I'd like to start learning more about what's going on in the Brazilian scene and maybe the Russian scene, because I'm not really like plugged into those scenes. I do want to expand that. I'm going to start trying to do more interviews. I'm also going to start introducing some technique breakdowns. I found a local mixed martial arts school that's willing to work with me for that. So for free, as long as I get to plug the school. So look for some technique breakdowns to start coming. Mostly I'm going to focus on, focus on some grappling breakdowns. Like, you see MMA striking breakdowns like everywhere you look. And most MMA channels that do technique breakdowns mostly come from striking breakdowns. I want to try to bring in some more grappling breakdowns, try to bring in some people that can discuss that better. And I most of the breakdowns I want to do are going to be finishing sequences, like explaining how fighters set up a finish. So that's mostly what I want to work on. I got to get back on to doing some fight reviews. I just did some reviews today. I got to record them and edit them and post them. They're from last weekend. They're not one, but I think they were worth covering. One was a championship fight. So trying to keep the channel growing. Definitely bringing in more subscribers all the time. It's incremental growth, which is great. That's what I want. Like exponential growth is fine, when you have those big leaps, but those big leaps. But right now I want the incremental growth, like do. I like that kind of growth, because that means that people are watching more often. Raw Hobbies and Lifestyle says, no doubt about it. Keep on growing this channel from Asia, dude, right here. Well, I'm glad that I've got some viewers in Asia, because I've been a fan of the Asian MMA scene ever since I got into the sport back in 2005. So been in love with the Asia scene. I follow the Korean scene fairly closely. Of course, won championship. The Japanese MMA scene. Hopefully, the pandemic starts, cooling off, and the Asian MMA scene, starts doing more. Lord knows, been waiting on Fight Circus to have their third event for I forget how many times that event's been postponed. That's probably been postponed more often than when Empower was postponed. So, but yeah, like, subscribe, share as well. If you see one of my videos, if you can share it on social media, that'd be great. Facebook, I rarely post my own stuff to Facebook just because I don't like to like over insert myself into like groups and stuff. A lot of groups don't like if you keep posting your own material. Reddit MMA. If you want to post my stuff to Reddit MMA, that'd be great because they limit how much you can post your own material. But sharing stuff helps growth as well, and I would appreciate that a lot. But yeah, like, subscribe, share, and hey, we'll see you next time.